It's actually a really almost addictive thing to do, this weaving of rugs. It's very rhythmic, very calming, very meditative. When we're out on country, we sit together under the trees and do this, and we chat, or we share stories. Quite often we're in silence, and also we sing together. It's something that people have been doing forever and a day, and we've sort of lost that in our world. So a really nice opportunity to do that together whilst we're actually making a gift for country.
With Aboriginal culture, our beliefs revolve around spiritual beliefs, and everything that you see around you, landmarks, hills, trees, they're all were created in a spiritual time, which we call the Dugurba, which is the time of creation. So, yeah, the whole environment is important. Every rock, every tree, every plant, it's all to do with our spiritual beliefs. The Dugurba is songlines. So where the ancestral beings travelled in the Dugurba times, they created the hills and the creeks and the landforms. So when mining comes in and you start developing a mine in a certain area, you're disturbing those spirits that live in that area, that created that part of the country. And that goes with trees, the animals, they're all part of that spiritual connection as well. So with mining impacting on the environment, it's breaking the link in our songlines, breaks that continuation of the Dugurba path. With a lot of the ore bodies that are present, they seem to follow the same songlines, the paths as our songlines. So with our Dugurba, the ancestral spiritual beings carved those songlines into the environment, and the ore bodies have also connected to those songlines, so that they do play a part in the actual storyline of what that particular part of the country relates to. The large scale of open cut minings and that sort of stuff, it really puts a huge dent in the environment, but also leaves a scar there forever. You're left behind with the open cuts, the waste dumps. It leaves that huge void in the environment. To patch up the Dugurba or the songlines, I would like to see the mines actually rehabilitate by backfilling their huge open cuts and their shafts and all that sort of stuff, because at least it brings the environment back to more of a not natural, but back to a similar state to the natural beginning of it.
In 2013, I was invited by Ngalia custodian Kato Muir to a community gathering in Leonora to talk about art projects. And at some point I asked the question, what is your deepest pain? And I was told, it's all those gaping mining holes left all over country. And the gravitas of that moment struck me in the heart, and I had a sudden vision of one of those holes sealed with a giant pattern that would tell the story of country. Over the next few years, the idea was developed with Kato and his wife Diva. It's been a long, slow journey, letting it unfold.
That one you could do in half, yeah. Oh, okay. I'll just start by sharing a little bit about what I call the anatomy of a rug. So weaving often happens on a rectangular loom that you probably can all see and imagine. And what you do is you string up vertically on that loom what's called the warp strand. And with these ones, we use circular looms, and the warp strands are actually strung up like the spokes of a bicycle. And then what you weave in and out is called the weft, and that's what's the horizontal strands in a traditional weaving. But with us, we're going to do a spiral shape. So my name's Lucy Ridsdale and I live in Fremantle in Walyalup. And I'm one of the textile artists who's teaching the rug weaving in Reclaim the Void. I was out here on this country 2 years ago for one of the retreats that Vivian and Cato decided to co-lead to bring together the cultural aspects and to walk this land with Cato and hear some of the stories of this place, and Vivian holding a spiritual retreat at the same time. And I had a rag rug with me that was my campfire rug and my sort of prayer rug and just do anything with rug. And during the course of that retreat, I noticed that Cato just kept on looking over to my rug, and he told me that he and Vivian, for quite some years at that point, had this vision to seal a decommissioned mining pit with a textile artwork. And he told me that when he saw my rug, he was like, that's how we're going to do it. So to have these individually made circular rag rugs assembled into this giant dot artwork.
I wanted to experience the magic of that weaving, especially the whole purpose of the project, being this massive story in woven rugs. We run our lives by, an 8 a.m. meeting and then an 8:30 this and then a 9 o'clock that and a 5 o'clock, it's all diarised. It's all kind of like kaboom, kaboom, kaboom. And I think in doing so, we just lose touch with the cycles, with the seasons, with deep time listening, that idea of just stopping in time and coming back to the land and listening and being.
The silence and the beauty of this country, the vastness, the colors, and then the wind. The wind is telling you different stories.
I've kind of been surprised about how profound and how deeply it has touched me. It does feel like kind of sorry business. The healing act of making something, it's just such a tiny gesture, but there's such a deep, deep sorrow in the earth, in our soul. And I keep hearing my kids going, "Oh, Mum, it's just white person guilt," but it is white person guilt. And so there's a great privilege to be here.
With the way that Reclaim the Void is structured, you do very similar practice to what our cultural, social sort of environment is. So the men will do the same, would, sit in circles and chat and make artefacts or whatever. It's that similar sort of process where you're making boomerangs or spear throwers or spears. In this project, you're doing the weaving, which is a similar sort of environment to what our history, our ancestral sort of practices are.
We are weaving our lives. We are weaving our hearts and our minds. We are weaving the bright and dark threads of our journeys through. We are weaving our lives. We are weaving.
It's just deeply inspiring to me, the already very large and growing community of people, the thousands of hands and the thousands of hours of just this gentle, dedicated labour to produce the rugs.
We are weaving our lives.
There's a sense that actually when we're here weaving on country, or when people are weaving in their rug hubs or just on their own in their living room, or rugs are coming in from everywhere, and it's not actually about the beauty or certainly not about the perfection of each individual rug. It's the doing of it. It's the act of doing it and the energy that goes into it and the intention that goes into it. That's just as real in the project as a finished rug or the finished artwork.
We are weaving our basket to hold. Oh, that's true.
The threads, like veins, run through the cloth, as if breathing life into it. Each weaver embodies my hope that community will thrive, that these old sheets will become a tapestry of healing, and that the desert will bloom with life, with stories stitched anew.
It's been amazing to receive rugs from such a diverse range of people across Australia and in other countries. A group of university students from Tokyo gathered regularly to weave, and 3 groups from the Philippines. One was the Kutitap cultural gathering for Indigenous children, 70 children from 12 ethno-linguistic groups. Also the Himalaya Children's Climate Art Project. And then there were rugs made by women in detention who said they were making a healing nest with the rugs, reclaiming beauty amidst the chaos. We're at a really special part of the process because this is number 2999, and so we're heading for the 3000th rug, which is very symbolic because the call out was for 3,000 rugs, and obviously we've gone past that, which is terrific. So I tie that on, and here we go, rug number 3000. And this is a rug made by Kate from Tasmania, and she says that she made it at home by the fire, in the grass under shady gum trees overlooking Blackman's Bay with a small group of women and passers-by, and that they loved the process and the intention. So there are also lots of beautiful stories about personal meanings that people have had when they've created rugs. People have used sheets that have meaning to them, a mother who died in the sheets, or the sheets that the woman got married in 50 years earlier. And there's a beautiful story of a 6-year-old who gave her favourite dress to her grandma and said, "Can you rip this up so that you can help heal country?" So actually it's not really so much country that's needing healing as ourselves and our own human hearts. One of the stories that really touched me was from Machi in Japan, and they've been weaving rugs there, and she said, "We loved weaving rugs with our friendships. Many of them told me I could be nothing while weaving." And a teacher who wove rugs with her students said the same thing, that it was amazing for the students to actually consider and recognise what it was like to do something for a project that was not to do with themselves, but to do with something much greater.
Weaving our hearts and our weaving the bright and dark threads of our journey.
And what of the afterlife of sheets? Of children dressed as ghosts for Halloween? Of adults at fancy dress parties in Roman togas? Of fairy wings, arm slings, dog beds, play tents, covered hangers, storage bags, cleaning cloths, shelf liners, bunting flags, aprons, twisted baskets, table napkins?
The original intention of the project was not necessarily anything to do with fabric and fabric waste that just unfolded in the making of the rugs as the material that we'd make the artwork from. But actually there's something beautiful in that, because it is part of the issue, is that we draw so much out of the earth, and Australia dumps 500,000 tonnes of discarded fabric every year. The average woman in Australia buys 27 kilos of clothing each year and throws out 23 kilos of clothing. So this is in many ways part of the symbolism of the project.
Thousands of people ripping colourful sheets into long fraying strips, then weaving the strips in circles, hand over hand, heart towards heart, ripping and weaving, hand to heart, gifting their love to this land and its first people.
We have rugs from every state and territory in Australia, as well as 5 overseas countries, but we have more rugs from Noongar country than we do from any other place. So it feels particularly appropriate that we would start the assemblage process here on Noongar country. And I have to say there's something really beautiful about working under the blue whale. Well, it's an orange whale at the moment. The other beautiful thing about working here is that the name of this place is the Bullabardip, and the many stories, and in many ways Reclaim the Void is 3,500 stories. But I guess the story that I'm holding is the response of people, and a very diverse group of people, from children to people in their mid-90s, people of every culture. And I'm holding their response to that grief that was expressed by a community in Leonora about the gaping mining holes left all over country. And these rugs are a way for people to actually acknowledge and apologise for what we've done to country and what we continue to do to country. I would love to live in a world, and I would love for my grandchildren to live in a world where story and song are really considered seriously, and where every decision that is made about country has the story of that country told first, at the table, with equal, if not more importance than questions of economics or resource management.
We are weaving our stream. We are weaving our we are weaving our hearts and our weaving our hearts.
4 years after the first call out, we have over 4,000 rugs. And one of the beautiful and at times challenging aspects of this project has been the dance between time and the timeless. We have to wait until right timing for the rugs to all be together, laid on country. But in the meantime, so many people have asked if the rugs could talk to their community, so the conversations and connections can continue. And so some of the rugs are off on a road trip. So here we are, yay, and 500 rugs. We're bringing 500 rugs to some of the communities who took part in the project and contributed rugs. So we bring back some of their rugs and a whole lot of rugs that were made by other people. And as much as each rug has a story, each community has a story.
These will appear first, I reckon.
Oranges,
Yeah.
the yellows, the greens. I find it's really great to keep standing back. It's a strange thing, it's like painting with rugs. One of the things that we've always felt with the rugs is that actually they're bringing to life what's already there. So in this case, the long-necked turtle is part of this place, and so these rugs are actually reflecting this presence of the long-necked turtle.
My name's Cheryl Michaels, and this is my sister Deborah Michaels. We're the elders of this community. We are Kanang mob, and we're excited to take you down to the creek where the turtles actually live, and they wander up here into the rose maze when it's really wet and that. There's a creek that runs from there up to here. Down here you'd see them swimming up because they've got to come up for air, and you see their footprints now on the ground here around here, and they eat all the jelgies nap. They're the natural crayfish for down here. When you see turtles, you know that the land is pure, healthy. Now they're all coming back. The population's increased, so the streams now are all getting healthy again.
So today we're gonna make the symbol of this one. We usually use it to blow it when special times, like we're having in our traditional, we usually have a Korean New Year.
Lamalo para le kiri, pala tira kami ko ora pumoto, nare pumoto le tiwe.
Okay, the beginning of how the horns begin is the wild buffalo and the buffalo that's in town. They're fighting and they die, and then at that time, one of the grandpa come and saw what was happening, and then the grandpa name was Pumoto. Pumoto get one of the horns from the wild one, and then one of the horns from the other buffalo, and then to make this. He make two horns, so he give one to the sons. So one day, if there is separations between you guys, you will blow the trumpets to come back all together. To blow this, it means that the currents united.
I'm Reece George. I'm a design teacher here at Bold Park Community School on Wodjuk Noongar Budja in Boorloo, Perth. Yeah, our school's been a part of the Reclaim the Void since the very beginning, over 4 years ago. Students have been contributing rugs across the years in slow and thoughtful work done in conversation and community. So yeah, it was really powerful to have some of the rugs return and be a part of this installation. Getting to work alongside artist Ruben Yorkshire, students explored the design possibilities before choosing one and bringing it to life. Yeah, it was a really hands-on process, grounded in place and symbol and story. Sharing about the design, Ruben said, "As we connect on Budja, so do our animals that sustain and protect it. Waterwort, the dragonfly, is spiritually connected to the waterways, showing us the path to Kep, water, which holds deep meaning and life for future generations to come."
My name is Tina Hanson. I'm a Noongar woman from Katanning. My mother, Gabriel Hanson, she's one of the elders here. With this painting, in the middle represents the fire, the people sitting around. The other ones around the side are the different tribes, and they come together and meet. Katanning was a meeting place back in the old days. They used to come from all different tribes around Katanning, meet in Katanning. They used to have corroborees. Sometimes even they used to come together with losses in the family when they'd have a loss. Because today is just all us ladies coming together, no men, just ladies. So we'll just sit around yarning, eating, spinning yarns and sitting and doing some of this artwork and make this rug.
It feels to me that the intention behind the thousands of hands and hearts who have taken time to weave a rug for country is both tangible and poignant. We want to acknowledge the damage, to say sorry to country, to the custodians, to try to listen well. And we want to put our hands out in some way to signify our desire for a better way forwards.